Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Am I the Bad Person? So, today we're going to be talking about when parents should interfere in their child's lives. Sometimes it'll be because of maybe you have a dispute with your spouse, sometimes it'll be because of, school officials, or in some cases, it might even be your neighbor. So, it's important to distinguish when you should actually jump in as a parent and actually help out your child, of course. So, let's dive right into a few situations. So the first question is, am I the bad person for giving my daughter's things back that were taken away as punishment? I'm 31 and my husband is 30. Our daughter is 7. And she found a puppy in the front yard and played with it. Turns out it belonged to our neighbors who were looking for it. They accused her of stealing it and my husband gave her extra chores. She refused to do them, saying she didn't steal the puppy. The neighbors came to apologize a bit later as their son confessed to losing the puppy on a walk when he took its leash off. That's how it ended up on our yard. I came home that evening and my husband explained this. He said that she should be disciplined for not doing the chores. I said she was right to not accept unearned punishment. He said it's the principle and she should listen to her father. I said I would rather die than teach her that she should lay down and accept mistreatment. We argued and he called me unreasonable. Am I the bad person? So in this situation, you are not the bad person because you're teaching your daughter that just because someone wants to discipline them doesn't mean that it's right. It's unearned punishment and it's not something that she should just take because this is something that will affect her later on in life. If she decides to actually, get a job or, have a spouse of her own, then she may think that, their word is law. And sometimes, if you're going through a toxic work environment or you're in an abusive relationship, then it's important to understand when it's not okay to be in these kinds of situations. Just because someone wants to have like a power trip and just, do what they feel is right, even if you are a parent. So it's important to understand where you draw the line of either, just punishing just to punish versus punishing because of something that the person actually did wrong. So in this situation, you are not the bad person. Alrighty, so let's move on to the next question. Am I the bad person for pulling my daughter from a disorganized school field trip? A couple of months ago, I, 31F, signed up my daughter, 8F, for an after-school field trip through her school's after-school program. She is not normally in the after-school program. It was a field trip they were offering to all students. They said that the trip would last until 6 p.m. and there were limited spots available. I never received an email or phone call to confirm she is able to go. This morning, after sending her off to school, I realized it was the day of the field trip. When I called the school to confirm her attendance, they informed me that they didn't have a list of students going on the trip because it was organized by the school district, not the school itself. The office staff said parents had been calling them all day about it and they didn't have any information. I also realized the date coincided with a minimum day, meaning the kids normally get out at 1:25 p.m. This left me feeling uneasy. I drove to the school to get clarification and found my daughter in the cafeteria waiting for the bus. She was excited, but I still felt uncertain about whether she should go. While I was there, a staff member approached me and said parents weren't supposed to be in the cafeteria and asked me to leave. I then asked if food would be provided for the kids since the trip lasted until 6 p.m. They said they only received a small snack. To make matters worse, I learned that the buses wouldn't be arriving until 3:30 p.m., meaning all those kids would be waiting in the cafeteria for over 2 hours. They offered that I could take her home, but would have to return at 3:30 when the bus arrives, which didn't work for my schedule. Feeling frustrated, I confronted the staff about how disorganized everything seemed, and especially that I didn't feel comfortable sending my daughter with them. I sounded really mad. I ended up leaving with my daughter and she was crying. To make it up to her, I told her I would take her to the location of the field trip on our own time and bring friends with us. Now I'm questioning my reaction. Was I wrong to get so angry and confront the staff? Am I the bad person for pulling her out of the trip? So, in this situation, you are not the bad person, and I'll explain why. So, this is a very tricky situation where we have a school and sometimes schools, as much as they try to have every child's best interest in mind, sometimes it's hard to keep track of so many things. Sometimes there's, God forbid, maybe they'll lose your kid, or God forbid something might happen. So it's important as a parent to, be cognitive of these situations, especially when in this situation where I seen that the school didn't really seem to organize, whether it was like, handing out, for example, the permission slips for these school trips, or really helping the parents feel at ease that there was going to be a time schedule of like, hey, this was the time that the kids will be out of school. This is the time the bus will pick them up. This is the time they'll be back. And even like the food situation, there wasn't really much food that was provided to the kids as well. So I think overall this school trip was not perfectly planned as they should have. There was not a lot of communication for the parents. So if I was in this parent's shoes, I would not let my child go on this school trip, because how this organized it was from the get-go, it didn't seem like they would be too organized once they actually got to the field trip. Also, something that I didn't really like was that it was organized by the school district and not by the school itself. So essentially, if something did go wrong, then maybe they would even blame that, it was the school district, they didn't organize it properly, and just shift the blame from them. So if I was in this parent's shoes, I would have done the same thing. I would not have allowed my child to actually have gone on the school trip and just taken them there myself. I think that was the smart move, and definitely the right way to move forward with this one. Hello everyone, my name is Anthony, and I'm the host of TheLostSanctuary. I hope you've been enjoying our content so far, and if you have, please feel free to like and subscribe. Also, we have our website up here, and we also have some socials down here. And as always, leave your comments down below. Am I the bad person for making my daughter take a break from going to her best friend's house because the mom purposely bought her a smaller size dress? About 2 weeks ago, my 14-year-old daughter, Bonnie, was out shopping with her best friend, Gigi, and Gigi's mom, Lauren. While they were out, Lauren bought them both dresses she thought were cute. Except, she bought Bonnie a size 3. Bonnie said she picked out one that was her size, but Lauren put it back and said that the size 3 one would be her aspirational dress to work towards fitting into. When she came home, she gave it to me and was upset, but also didn't want to say anything bad about Gigi's mom, which I get. First off, Bonnie is a healthy girl, gymnastics until she was about 11, and grew several inches. Dance in the fall and track in the spring, all her choices. So she's got an athletic build. Gigi is a small girl, barely 5 feet, and so I thought at first she got them mixed up. She told me that Gigi's mom got it for her to aspire to try to get into by working hard. I said I'd take care of it and get her the right size. The next day I called Gigi's mom, Lauren, and asked her why she would do that. She explained that she thought it would give Bonnie something to work towards, because she heard Bonnie saying she didn't get asked out last year, but Gigi had several boys after her, and that it seemed like it upset her. I told her it was inappropriate, and asked her why she would tell a kid she needed to lose weight in order to get attention from boys. She got defensive and said that it was obviously embarrassing for Bonnie to not have boys into her when all her friends do. She basically said, I'm holding Bonnie back from growing up, like I won't help her with boys, won't drop hundreds at Sephora, still dress her like a kid, and buy BNBW sprays instead of fancy perfumes. She said it's messing with Bonnie socially, and that she's the only one in her friend group who hasn't had a boyfriend. Then she got personal and said, just because I've given up and stopped trying doesn't mean I have to turn Bonnie into a nun. For the record, this is partially true, but it's also because Bonnie doesn't want that stuff. I have offered to get her more than Cetaphil skincare, and she doesn't want it. She got straight A's last year, and I took her to Ulta for a spree, and all she wanted to have some lip gloss, and then asked for the body spray instead. I said it's time for a break. The girls can still hang out, but I don't want Bonnie at Gigi's house. Bonnie got upset over it, and I can deal with that. Gigi's mom, however, has gone nuclear over it, spreading poison everywhere she can about me, being psycho, and doubling down on how it's all because I don't want my daughter to be happy with a boyfriend when I'm single and no man would touch me. Which is just childish. And I've never been shocked to see how other people react to this. So now I'm questioning my own parenting, which I never do. Am I the bad person? So this is a very complicated situation, but I'm going to say for overall, you are not the bad person, and I'll tell you why. Um, Sometimes it's easy for our children to be pressured into norms that they feel is right, you know and sometimes this can lead to uncomfortable situations. So there's going to be times where for example, the friend is doing something that you morally might not see as correct, but then the friend might pressure your child into doing this thing, even though it might not seem the best, in their in their best interests. So I would say you are not really an overprotective parent, in the sense of you're just doing what's right by your child, and you actually effectively give them whatever they ask for. So if you took your child on in the shopping spree, they chose what they wanted, and even though now in life they might not have boyfriends just like their friends have, it's important to acknowledge that not everything comes during a specific time in your life. Just because you don't have a relationship right at this moment and your friends do, doesn't mean that it could just mean that it wasn't your time at this moment to have a relationship. So it's not a requirement to actually have exactly what your friends have, do exactly what your friends do. There has to be like a boundary of what you deem right and what is deemed wrong. So I think overall this your the child's friend's mother is a little toxic, in my opinion, and is just trying to exude what she feels is right for not just her own daughter but for your daughter as well, which I don't agree with. So I would say in this case that you're not the best person, as I mentioned, and you should continue to have your own parenting style, especially if your child seems to be doing so well in so many other activities, getting straight A's, doing well in sports. I feel like overall your child is doing a great job, and I don't think that your parenting style is incorrect in any way. So this concludes episode 10 of Am I the Bad Person? And yeah, hope everyone has a blessed day, and adios. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job, and I'm wishing everyone out there all the best. All right, until next time, adios.